They have champion level ambitions in many cases, but they have a chump level mindset that doesn't allow them to fulfill that champion level calling and that champion level capability. They're an eagle, but they're thinking like a turkey or a chicken. Chances are you're going to self-sabotage yourself because you haven't changed the root. And if you don't change the root, you can't change the fruit. So big idea here is you've got to change the who before you can change the do.
Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of the Art of Mortgage Marketing podcast. My name is Penny Wrightley, and I am here with our dearest friend, Doran Aldana. Welcome, Doran.
I am so delighted to be hanging with you on the first episode of 2025. I can't wait. Let's go.
We are super pumped to be here today. I can't believe we are saying that it is 2025. Where is the time going?
I know, right? I guess we're having fun. They say time flies when you're having fun. So apparently we've been having some fun.
You got it. So I'm super pumped to be here today because we are talking about a super fun topic. Since it's the beginning of 2025, it's the beginning of the year, we are going to talk today about 5 steps to thrive in 2025. What can mortgage pros be doing today to really make 2025 an amazing year? So let's dive in.
Indeed. Let's do this. Buckle up, seats in the upright position. It's go time. And of course, it's timely to be talking about thriving in 2025, considering we, at the time of recording this live, are sitting at the 9th day of January. So perfect timing as we rev things up and dial in our marketing and our habits and getting our efforts dialed into optimal performance to think about what can we do to improve how we are applying our efforts so we can get more juice from the squeeze and so we can fill the swimming pool with the proverbial fire hose versus the squirt gun, right? So that's really what this is about, is like, how can we get more from less? Or how can we get more from more? Like put in more and get more, but have it be exponential in results. So Penny, I mean, you know better than I that most mortgage pros don't achieve their goals. Most people either set high goals and fall short, or they set low goals and hit. But very few people set high goals and hit. And of course, with this industry being in the midst of a 3-year storm, it's now been 3 years in this market storm. This has been an exceedingly difficult time for most people in this business. People have left the business in droves. It's been a massive exodus out of the business, back to selling solar, driving over 9-to-5 prison, all that yucky stuff that is a gag reflex to the soul for the eagles that know they're meant to soar and to soar free, not be stuck in a cage called 9-to-5 prison. And a lot of people, they've been in I can't afford it prison because they've had massive income regression. They're having to cram their life in a smaller budget box. There's a lot of stress, worry, anxiety, sleepless nights. A lot of people are just sick and tired of being sick and tired of slugging through the mud with concrete blocks on their feet and not seeing progress, not seeing action, not seeing traction from the action, so to speak. So this is where we are as we do this episode. This is the environment and the state of the landscape that we find ourselves in. So why don't we kick things off? I'll let you kind of take the helm, Penny, and guide us. And I guess you can prod me with a few questions, and I'll see if hopefully I can give some value today that really makes a difference for our audience.
That sounds great, Doran. Yes, I love to pick your brain. You've been in the industry now for, it's got to be at least 2 full decades now. So
talk about suckle punishment status, right?
For sure. So you've had your share of seeing mortgage pros succeed, and you've seen some that have exited the business, and you've certainly seen it all. So I can't wait to pick your brain here this afternoon. So
all right, let's do it.
Yeah, you got it. So let's jump in. Question number 1. So we know mortgage pros can succeed, but there's mortgage pros that fail too. So why do most mortgage pros fail to achieve their goals?
Well, of course, the no-brainer answer is they don't roll with us enough, right? That's, a given.
You got it.
Aside from that, with all honesty, though, there's 3 big reasons, the big 3 reasons that come to mind for me as I think about like, what are some of the common threads or common trends of people who don't make it or stay stuck in the struggle bus and can't seem to break free. And the first one is misaligned mindset. By that, I mean, they have champion level ambitions in many cases, but they have a chump level mindset that doesn't allow them to fulfill that champion level calling and that champion level capability. They're an eagle, but they're thinking like a turkey or a chicken, right? And they don't know it because, if you're anything like me, when you have a chicken or a turkey mindset, you're the last to find out. It's like when you're inside the bottle, it's hard to see the label. And I can't tell you how many times I've had champion level ambitions where I want to be a potent, powerful leader. I want to get, extraordinary results in my business. And yet I have hindering habits that don't help me and don't serve me to those outcomes, whether those habits are staying up too late, sleeping in too late, or whether those habits are watching, movies and, coasting on entertainment versus educating myself and learning from books and going to seminars. Maybe sometimes I can certainly say that I've had misaligned habits when it comes to not being willing to seek wise counsel and having the wrong people around me and having a mindset of stagnation because I was being led by and mentored by people who had that mindset as well. And it's like, if you're laying down with dogs, you're going to come up with fleas, right? So
Yes.
I had a misaligned mindset. And you see that a lot of times in the industry where, I was just talking to someone the other day and her big, hairy, audacious goal was to make 80K, which I was like, that's cool. That's what you want to do. But after business expenses and taxes, that's like 60K. Is that really like your happy dance number? And she's like, yeah, that's it. And because she'd been so beat up for so many years, she just had such low expectations. And she had this mindset of like, if I reach too high and miss, I'm going to be disappointed. And I told her, I said, the surest way to be mediocre in life and in business is to have reasonable and realistic goals. And that usually comes from having a mindset that's not aligned with flourishing. It's aligned with surviving, but not thriving. So that's what I mean by a misaligned mindset. Like they want to thrive, but they have a mindset that's geared to survive. And they wonder why they're stuck in survival mode prison. So that's the first reason why I see people failing or underachieving. The second reason is misaligned habits. So by that, I mean, kind of similar to what I mentioned earlier. Like if you have champion level ambitions, but you have chump level habits, we got a problem, right? You can have $1 million ambitions, but if you have trailer park habits, we've got a problem. There's a misalignment in the habits. And as I like to say, and I heard from the amazing leadership coach, Craig Groeschel, which is a lot of the inspiration behind what I'm going to be sharing with you today comes from his book. He's got an amazing book called Power to Change by Craig Groeschel. Highly recommend getting this book. Listen to it front and back. I've listened to it probably 4 times on Audible. It's an amazing book. Highly, highly, highly recommend it. And as he says, trying tends to lead to a hope-based approach. And if you're relying on hope, chances are you're going to have misaligned habits because champions rely on habits, whereas the chump level producers that are way underperforming, who are called to champion level results, who are capable of champion level results, but are operating at a chump level existence because they have hope versus habits. They're relying on hope versus habits. So that's a misalignment in their thinking such that they have a misalignment in their habits. And in my experience, that's been one of the biggest things that's held me back is like, I want to be a great leader in my business. And yet I have a habit of not studying those sorts of things, not studying great leaders, not learning from great leaders, not reading books from great leaders. And of course, if I just run on default, my old habits that die hard will run the show. And it's still like a garden, right? If you leave a garden to default, what do you get? You get weeds, right? You get weeds. And so there's a misalignment of habits. You want an abundant harvest, but if you have a habit of not feeding the seeds, not nurturing the seeds, not fertilizing the seeds, not watering the seeds, they're going to die out or they're going to be anemic at best. So that's a misalignment in the gardening of our garden, nurturing of our garden, which we can kind of put into the metaphor of, what a habit looks like. It's the habit of the gardener. And what does the gardener do to nurture or not nurture the garden plot? And the third reason I think that a lot of mortgage pros fall short of their dreams, goals, and ambitions and way underperform is misaligned strategy. So using another metaphor, it's kind of like if you're trying to fill your swimming pool with a squirt gun versus the fire hose, we're going to have a problem, right? Because that's doing it the hard way. And it's not that you don't have the capability to fill that pool faster with more zeros and commas and more closings and more commissions and more impact and more people served. You have the capability, but if you have a squirt gun, pea shooter strategy, we've got a problem if your goal is to have fire hose impact, but you're using a squirt gun as your process, as your strategy, you're going to underperform. So those are the big reasons, of course, why smart, ambitious, growth-minded mortgage pros hire us at mortgagemarketingcoach.com, as you know, Penny, is because it's not an easy code to crack in terms of the mindset, because we're the last to find out that we have a stinking thinking mindset, right? It's kind of like a mindset is a little bit like armpits. We all have them, but most of us have stinky ones, right? And we're the last ones to find that out. So oftentimes people don't hire us to improve their mindset. They hire us to improve their habits and their strategies. And along the way, they find out, oh, I got some junk in the trunk. I got some stinking thinking, some mind trash I got to take out along the way, because I'm noticing how I get in my own way. I'm my own bottleneck. I'm my own worst critic. And so those are the big reasons I think people fall short.
Yes. Yes. You know what? Those have all really hit home, because I mean, being a mortgage professional myself and being in the business as long as I have, I'm like you, Doran. I've been in the business a couple of decades as well. And I can tell you, you know, that stinking thinking, that's a big one, right? The mindset, the habits, the strategy, all of those points are huge, huge points. And you're absolutely right. Those are all things that I'm personally guilty of them myself, even, you know, and I can tell you.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And it's like, if you can change those things, I mean, the sky's the limit, right? So, which, you know, brings me into the next question. So let's talk about what's going to change for 2025. What are the 5 steps to thrive in 2025? Let's just dive right into it. Let's talk about what's going to change things for everyone here. So let's dive in. What's going to be the 5 steps to help mortgage pros thrive in 2025?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Penny. It just so happens I thought a little bit in advance of this and have a little bit of clarity after 2 decades doing this that I think may be able to bring some lucid clarity for those listening, watching, as to what they might be able to improve in their marketing plan and their growth plan as they launch the new year by applying the 5 things I'm about to share with you today. And the first one that I want to highlight is certainly not the most important, but perhaps if I had to choose the most important, it would definitely be in the top 3. And that is defining your win. If you're taking notes, I definitely recommend jotting down some things that you feel are worthy of not just knowing, but applying. And this is definitely a good time to jot down a few notes so you don't lose the opportunity to integrate the information that we're going to share with you today. Because it's one thing to hear it. It's another thing to think about it. It's a whole other thing to really focus on mastering it and applying it. So I encourage you guys to, as we go through these 5 things, to ask yourself, am I applying this? Am I living this? Because it's one thing to say to yourself, hey, I already know this, right? We can easily say, oh, I've heard that. I know that. I've thought about that. I've done that. I've tried that. The question really, though, is, are you living it? Are you embodying it? Because truth be told, I've left myself in the lurch of way underperforming at the level I'm capable of, because I tell myself in my head, I already know this, and I kind of discount it. And by discounting it, I miss the opportunity to grow. And what happens is I fool myself because I say I know it, but I'm not living it. So the big question you want to ask is, am I living this? Am I a living, breathing embodiment of this? Is there an opportunity to grow more mastery muscle in this? And if you'll embrace that approach as we go through this list, I think you'll find you'll get way more juice from the squeeze, and you'll gain a whole lot more transformative power from this conversation. So with that as kind of a little bit of a preliminary preface, let me dive into this first one. The first one is define your win. Define your win. So that by that, I mean, what is the threshold? What is the outcome that is a measurable, specific outcome that allows you to ring the bell and say, hey, I've won? How do you know if you've won? Some people, you start the year, especially if they've got their butt kicked over multiple years, they're just like, I'm just happy to pay the bills. Or they're like, I just want to grow my production. I want to grow my income. I want to get healthier. I want to lose a few pounds. And while that sounds nice, there's nothing specific about it, right? It's like, well, how many pounds? 1 pound, 2 pounds, 3 pounds? And, if you want to lose pounds, it's a bit like saying, I'm wanting to drop in weight, which is great, but how do you know when you can ring the bell and say I've won? Because saying that I want to lose weight is a little bit like losing your keys. When you lose your keys, what do? when you lose your keys. You go to find your keys. And most people, they lose their weight. And then what do? They have Christmas and they eat all that food and then they find that weight back, right? So it's a better thing to define specifically instead of losing weight to say, I want to be healthy and fit. I want to be looking good and feeling great at my ideal weight of, and fill in the blank what that ideal weight is. Notice how it's framed as looking good and feeling great. So there's a vibration, there's a feeling around that. There's a exuberance, there's a vitality, there's an image. If you just say I lose weight, there's no image, but looking good and feeling great, all of a sudden, doesn't that put an image in your mind?
Yes, absolutely.
Right? It's like an image of vitality, of fitness, of health, of well-being. Chances are you see yourself smiling, right? And you look great and you've got this energy of success and you feel confident. And then of course it comes with a number, and that number might look like whatever it is for you. Everyone's different. Everyone's got a different body type, but that ideal weight, looking good and feeling great, is a lot different than saying, I just want to lose a few pounds. So define your win. As the Cheshire Cat, easy for me to say, from Alice in Wonderland once said, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. So having specifics really matter. Otherwise, it's like playing golf with no hole or playing basketball with no hoop. That wouldn't be very fun, would it? Why? Because there's nothing to shoot for. So make your win measurable, specific, and most importantly, inspiring. Most people don't make the mistake of shooting too high and hitting, like I mentioned earlier. Most people make the mistake of shooting too low and hitting. Or rather, most people don't make the mistake of shooting too high and missing. Most people make the mistake of shooting too low and hitting. And I think it's because they think that if I fall short of it, I'm going to feel disappointed. And so they make it about themselves versus, hey, look how far I came. Look, I grew so much more. I shot for the stars. I missed, but at least I came down with some stardust. At least I had some progress. So people have this perspective that being too ambitious is risky. Being too ambitious is going to set me up for disappointment. What you want to think instead is, what inspires the best version of me to show up? And that's what you want to set goals for. Don't set goals for what you attain. Set goals for who you become. Become the best version of yourself, right? Like, what's a dream that is not something where you say, what am I worthy of? But rather, what's worthy of me? What's worthy of my gift, my passion, my purpose, my calling? What's worthy of the unique gifts, talents, and abilities God has given me? And when you think from that perspective, you're naturally going to have big, hairy, audacious goals that are so big that you need God to make them happen, like God-sized calling, God-sized vision. You want something so big that scares you and excites you at the same time. That's going to call it the best version of you. So that when you define your win, make it something that inspires you. Otherwise, you're just paying the bills. You're just getting by. You're just making do. Screw that. You're not here to make do. You're here to make freaking history. Are you with me, Penny?
I am. I'm getting excited just listening here.
Right? It's like, life is too short just to pay the bills. You're not here to pay the bills. You're here for the thrill of living your best life. And then another little caveat to defining your win is, don't make your win about the outcome. Make it about the input. By that, I mean, make doing the habit your win. If being fit, looking good and feeling great at your ideal weight is your goal, and maybe the goal is like, 140 pounds or 150 pounds or whatever it is, and you're at a weight higher than that or whatever that is, or maybe it's a dude and he wants to bulk up and he wants to gain weight. I don't care what it is. But whatever that is, there's a habit. Maybe it's a habit of eating more healthy, and maybe it's exercising 3 to 5 days a week and staying away from pop and processed sugars. And so there's habits, right? There's habits of things to let go of, and there's habits to embrace. Let going of the bad habits that don't align with the outcome we're committed to, and embracing the good habits that align with the outcome that we're committed to, the strategic habits such as exercise, healthy eating, etc. And so when you have those habits that align with what the outcome you want to achieve, the habits to release and the habits to embrace, make the doing of the good habit and not doing of the bad habit the win. Like, that's the win. When you define your win, don't just define the outcome, define the input, and make doing the input your win. Does that make sense, Penny?
Yes. I love it. Amen.
Right? So then it's like you can win every day, right? Because you have habits that you're letting go of, and your habits that you're embracing, and you're making the process be the prize.
Enjoying the ride.
Yeah. And that's where you get the joy in the journey. And that's where you build the muscle. And that's where you build the momentum. And that's where you build the mastery. And when you master the habits, you master your dream. It's as simple as that. So do you think I've beaten that dead horse enough? Should I keep going on that, or should I move on to the next one?
Well, I'm very excited. So you've excited me with point number 1 here. So let's jump into point number 2, because I can't wait now. Now I'm excited.
Well, I can't promise you I'm not going to excite you on the second one, because the second one stacks on the first one. But
Right.
the thing about the second one is it's where we really need to start to do some soul forging that is really not easy. I'll preface it by saying this is probably one of the most challenging ones to do, because it's the work on the inside, the inner game of success. It often is, old habits die hard, as we've heard. And so this is exceedingly potent and powerful, but not easy to do, but so worth the challenge. And that is change the who before the do. If you're taking notes, you can write that down. That's the second step. Change the who before the do. What do I mean by that? I'm starting to sound like Dr. Seuss or something, right? Change the who before the do. And by that, I say that you do what you do because of what you think of you. You do what you do because of what you think of you. In other words, your identity drives your behavior. If you see yourself as a smoker and you have identity as a smoker, you're going to have a hard time quitting smoking, because you do what you do because of what you think of you, right? Until and unless you change that identity and see yourself as someone who is a non-smoker, or someone who is addicted to breathing air versus nicotine or whatever else that you're smoking and toking, then chances are you're going to self-sabotage yourself, because you haven't changed the root. And if you don't change the root, you can't change the fruit. You can't change what's above the ground until you've changed what's below the ground. You can't change the visible until you've changed the invisible. So it's a reflection. It's a mirror. Everything that you're creating on the outside in the physical realm in your life, with rare exception, is a reflection of what you've been creating on the inside, consciously or unconsciously, by your thoughts, emotions, and habits and routines. And ultimately, the results you get from it is just the traction from the action. And that action starts in the inner world, the inner man. So by that, let's go a little deeper. Let me give you some examples. If you have an identity, for example, of being fat, and you might not say that you're fat. Maybe you just say you're big bone because you want to soften it. I'm not fat, I'm just big bone. Well, it's okay to embrace the truth if it's something that disgusts you, and you're sick and tired of the habits, routines, and rituals and stinking thinking that's gotten you to this place where you got an achy back, you got high blood pressure, you can't play with the kids because you're out of shape. You look at yourself in the mirror and you're not feeling proud. You're feeling shame and guilt and a sense of like, I'm not living my best life. You're in the bedroom with your spouse. It's not as sexy as you'd like it to be, because there's roles and pulls that you don't really want there to be there, such that, it's the opposite of like fun. Fit is fun. Unfit is really not fun in many cases. So there's a disgust and resolves that you get to when you're ready to change, right? That's a healthy thing. You don't want to soften the problem. And instead, you want to say, hey, I'm fat. Tell yourself the truth. And what that does is it allows you to get to that place of disgust and resolve where you say, enough is enough. No more. I've had it. I'm done with it. That's just the beginning of life change. Now you need to see yourself differently and say, you know what? I see myself in my perfect weight, looking good and feeling great. I see myself strong, confident, fit, vibrant. And that's who I choose to see myself in my mind's eye as, versus who I see with my flesh eye when I wake up in the morning. And when I see myself in the mirror, I'm choosing to see past that. I'm choosing to see a new harvest, because I'm choosing to plant new seeds and have new routines and habits that cultivate new flourishing. And so I can't change the results now, but I can change what I'm doing in the now so I can get new and better results in the future. And so using this metaphor of like, using your body, if indeed, and again, you can translate this to any outcome you want to produce. We're just using the house metaphor as an example, but you can use this for anything: your business, your relationships, your parenting, your health and fitness, but the concept still remains the same. It's the principle I want you guys to lock in on. If you have an identity of being fat, And it could be in your business. You're fat in your business, which means you have stagnation, regression. You've had a massive financial haircut. That could be fat in your business. It could be fat in your relationships where it's like, you know what? I'm living parallel lives like roommates with the spouse. I'm not giving him or her my best self. I'm showing my fangs. I'm being defensive, whatever it is. I'm being argumentative. I'm projecting contempt or judgment, whatever that is that might represent being fat, so to speak. It's going to be hard to get fit if we see ourselves that way, right? So what would it look like if you were fit in your business? What would it look like if you were fit in your relationships? What would it look like if you were fit in whatever area? And imagine that you're already there now. You're already living that life now. What would be the measurable outcomes? Remember we talked about define your win? What would that look like? What would be some of the measurable outcomes? Now, in your relationship, it might be, hey, we have a date night every week. We're making love every week. We're doing something fun every week. Like that's something measurable, right? Something that you could actually measure that's a litmus test to how vibrant and healthy and fulfilling your relationship is. If it's your business, it might be, hey, I'm going from 1 loan a month to 5 loans a month. That's pretty measurable, right? That's what fit would look like. Or maybe it's 5 loans to 10 loans, whatever fit looks like for you. And now see yourself already living that fit, vibrant, healthy life. And see yourself as having the identity that that's the true you. That's the true eagle. Even though you're getting chicken feed or turkey pigeon results, that doesn't mean that you're a chicken or a turkey or a pigeon. It means you're an eagle who's had the habit of cultivating chicken or turkey or pigeon habits. But the true you, the truest essence of who you are is an eagle who's meant to soar. You with me on this, Penny?
I am.
So we do what we do because of you do what you do because of what you think of you. And if you're getting turkey results and you're sick and tired of getting turkey results, I'm here to tell you it's because you have had the habit of seeing yourself as a turkey versus seeing yourself as an eagle. That's the big idea. Okay. So trying to change your behavior before changing your identity, trying to change your chicken behavior before changing your chicken identity is like cutting down weeds with the weed whacker without getting to the root of the problem, right? If you don't pull that weed out from the root, what happens, Penny?
Oh, it's going to grow back meaner and nastier.
Right? It just keeps growing back. And talk about an exercise of frustration and vanity, right? When we're spending all this time, energy, and effort trying to do this behavior manipulation. And yet we just keep coming back like a dog back to its vomit, to the same stinking thinking, the same unhealthy habits, the same pain and drama and trauma. And then we feel even worse about ourselves. We keep beating ourselves up and we keep having this self-loathing cul-de-sac of suck because we never realized that if you don't change the root, you can't change the fruit. So for example, in my life, I struggled in my relationship with my wife. We've been married 22 years. She's been putting up with me for 22 years now. That woman, she definitely deserves a sucker for punishment plaque, putting up with me for over 2 decades. She is a gem. And I had the habit, unbeknownst to me, of being defensive in my marriage to her. So she would say things or she wouldn't say things and I get defensive or so I justify and I would kind of get in this loop of justifying or defending. And it was really not healthy because it wasn't leadership, it was reactionary. And I was basically just being a kid in an adult man's body, throwing a tantrum. And it created very unhealthy dynamic in our relationship, very divisive fights and heated debates and disunity. And it was just unfun. Let's just be real. It's just totally unfun. And I'm a guy that likes to have fun. My wife likes to have fun. So that was a real downer for us. I never realized that I had the root of pride, that the root of that was pride. And my identity was wrapped around that I need to correct her. I need to, make sure I tell her how it is and I need to be right so that I can get her on my page, so that I can kind of iron out her kinks so that we could have a healthy relationship. So I had an identity that I kind of needed to be a fixer, if you will. Now, you're a woman, Penny, and you're married. So how well do you think it works to have a hubby that wants to fix you?
Not a great idea.
Not a great idea, right? You can imagine how well that worked, right? As they say in Mexico, no bueno, right? No bueno.
I know.
So After 22 years, I finally come to realize that the root of this cycle is my pride, that I'm the one that needs to fix my wife instead of God fixing her. But in his grace, his love, and he doesn't fix, he heals on the inside. He transforms on the inside. He doesn't just put lipstick on the pig with behavior, manipulation or behavior, surface level change. He gets right to the heart. Right. And so I realized I was being prideful by trying to fix my wife. And I also realized I was being insecure because I couldn't take feedback, corrective feedback. I got super defensive. So it was my pride and my insecurity that was at the root. And I was super, shall I say, without lack of a better term, I was an affirmation addict. I needed my wife to affirm me all the time. And if she didn't, then I felt insecure and I got defensive. And it was just a terrible cycle. And I wanted to change the fruit of our relationship, more intimacy, more unity, more connection, more passion. But I hadn't changed the root of my pride and my insecurity. And of course, that was at the very root of why I was causing disunity and causing so much strife and trauma in my marriage, unbeknownst to me. I thought it was her problem, but I'm the husband. I'm the leader. Everything rises and falls on leadership. It was actually my problem. I just didn't want to own that fact. And now I see, finally, after 22 years, now I see that I'm a humble servant. I've changed my identity from being someone who needs to react and defend and justify and prove to I'm a humble servant. Leadership is about being a servant leader. And so I see myself in my prayer every day, at least as many times as I can remember when it comes to my ritual in the morning now. I don't do it every day, but as often as I possibly can, probably 5 times a week, is Lord, help me to become a humble servant. Help me to be humble with my wife, humble with my kids. Help me to be humble in my business with my clients. Like, help me to be humble and hungry and thirsty for growth and for change and to be wisdom. But most importantly, to be a servant, which makes it easier to be curious and compassionate and kind and others focused versus try to fix people and defend against whatever judgment I feel. So that was a really powerful, transformative shift. And if you're wondering, well, Doran, how do I find my weeds? How do I identify these weeds? I'll give you a quick little hack. Just write down in your notepad these fill in the blank equations. You can just fill in the blank as part of your journaling time. The first one is I'm not enough of. So I'm not enough, whatever it is, right? I'm not smart enough. I'm not beautiful enough. I'm not handsome enough. I'm not tall enough. I'm not short enough. I'm not educated enough. I'm not experienced enough. I'm not good enough at sales, whatever it is, right? I'm not enough. So chances are, if you use that, you'll identify what these weeds are in your garden that are misaligned with the fruitfulness you want to create in your life and your business. Another example of a way to identify these limiting beliefs that are limiting your self-identity and holding you back at the root are I'm too much of something. So I'm too tall, I'm too short, I'm too aggressive, I'm too shy, whatever it is. I'm too fill in the blank. Okay. My wife's, hers was I'm too much. I'm just too much, too intense, because she kind of got labeled younger in life that she was too much. And so she took ownership of that. And then that became her thing, like I'm too much. And that caused her to live in that identity of being too much. And then she lived out that identity of being too much. Isn't that interesting, right?
Wow.
You do what you do because of what you think of you. This is how it works. So this is why we're talking about this, because most mortgage marketing podcasts will not talk to you about getting to the root. They'll talk to you about manipulating the fruit. They will not get you talking about, thinking about, and getting even remotely close to getting to the root cause of your success. This is where you create life transformation, friends. When you get to the root, you change the fruit. Lastly, another great template for this is I'd be successful if. I'd be successful if I had better parents, if I had a more supportive spouse, if I had a lower rates and more inventory, if fill in the blank, okay? I'd be more successful if I was good at sales, if I wasn't so shy, if I was more outgoing, if I was better looking. I'd be more successful if. You get the idea. So big idea here is you've got to change the who before you can change the do. You've got to replace those weeds, those weed seeds, and replace them with seeds of truth. And as Jesus said, and this is worth a writer down or two if you haven't already been taking notes, you shall know the truth and the truth shall set you free, which means lies enslave you. if you flip that on its head, lies enslave you. And these weeds will enslave you. They will steal the fruitfulness from your garden. So then you can start to declare truth, like using this template as a great example. Since I am humble, I'm a humble servant. I ask for forgiveness. I focus on others. I admit my wrongs. Notice how that's helped me in my marriage with my wife and with my kids. Because I'm a humble servant, I do these things. But notice that the doing of it, I can't change the do until I change the who. Another example is, since I'm a disciplined person, I get up early to exercise, right? Notice how exercise comes with discipline. So I see myself as a disciplined person, and then I do because I've got the who. Now I can do the do. You do what you do because of what you think of you. Does that make sense, Penny?
It does. Yes. It's powerful, that one.
I can't believe I spent all that time on just 2 and I still have 3 more to go. I'm going to have to go like sip of the fire hose, massive action on the last 3 to get this in the next 10 minutes. So
lightning round.
There you go.
But you know what? In all honesty, Dorian, this is very, very powerful stuff. And I think it's worth spending the time. These are topics. These are things you're covering today that, you don't catch on normal mortgage podcasts. So I think this is one of my favorite podcasts. That's for sure. It's one of my favorite episodes. So keep going, my friend. Keep going. Tell us number 3, because I'm eager here.
Absolutely. I want this to be a podcast that's my favorite podcast, because I feel like, it's the stuff that I wish I got when I was coming up that no one else was giving. And so with that in mind, let's move on to the third step in how to thrive in 2025. And that is stop trying and start training. Stop trying and start trying. No, that's not what I meant to say. Stop trying and start training. So if I was training, I would have said that right, but I was trying instead of training. So isn't that a great example, right? Stop trying, start training. So what I mean by that, tongue in cheek, is trying is exerting effort in the moment, while training is developing strategic habits so you do the right thing in the moment. Trying is exerting effort in the moment, hoping that it's going to pan out, whereas training is developing strategic habits so you do the right thing in the moment. You get that champion level result in the moment because you've had those champion level routines and habits. Okay. Put another way, trying relies on hope. Training relies on habit, right? Trying is quote unquote interested in success, interested in growth, interested in being fit, interested in having a great marriage, interested in whatever the outcome is you want to produce. Trying is interested in success. Training is committed to success. Notice the difference, right? If you're interested in running a marathon, you might train once or twice, and then you're going to be barfing on the road halfway through, quitting and crying for mama because you didn't train because you were just interested. But when you're committed, you're doing that training every day. You're doing multiple mile runs every day. You're studying what it looks like to be a successful marathon runner, and you're applying the discipline because you're committed versus just interested. Trying breeds self-delusion. I'll try. It's like when Luke Skywalker was saying, I'll try it. And Yoda's like, no, there is no try. You either do or do not. Trying breeds self-delusion. It's just mere hope, wish, prayer. Whereas training breeds discipline, disciplining ourselves to do the things we need to do so we can get the results that we want to get. Discipline is doing what you want most over what you want now. Is that a powerful definition of discipline? Discipline is doing what you want most over what you want to do now or what you want now. So, for example, with my metaphor, with my example, with my marriage, what I want most in the moment is to defend myself, to be right, right? Let me tell you the real truth. What I want most is to, let my woman know that I'm right and she's wrong. In the moment, that just feels good because I feel like I've got the upper hand and I'm going to say how it is, right? And I feel justified. And I feel like there's a certain sense of feeling secure, even though it's a totally insecure behavior. It gives me a false sense of security. Okay. So what I want now in this moment is to feel that false sense of security, even though it's totally not founded on anything that really will produce any fruit in my marriage. So that's what I want now. I want to justify myself. I want to defend. What I want most is a connected, loving, generous, juicy, fulfilling marriage that's got unity and connection. That's what I want most. So discipline is choosing what you want most over what you want now, letting it go, flowing like water, not having to be right, wanting relationship more than I want to be right, to choose what I want most over what I want now. We should probably do a marriage thing because I keep using examples of marriage, but we can do a business thing too, because the same principle applies, right? What you want most. Well, actually, let's do a metaphor for, let's do an example for your fitness, because chances are you got some fitness goals. So what you want now is to be comfortable and cozy in bed. It's dark out. You want to stay in that bed, the alarm went off, and you want to press the snooze button, right? That's what you want to do now. What you want most is to be decisive and to launch out of bed with a bang and launch your day, and to put these simple disciplines of success like fitness and health and well-being, getting some exercise in, listening to some inspiration, motivation, educational while you get your exercise on. Like, that's what you want most. You want to be a healthy, vibrant, confident, exuberant business leader who starts the day right. That's what you want most. What you want now is your comfort in bed. Press the snooze button. Do you see how the dichotomy of this, right?
Yes.
Discipline is doing what you want most over what you want now. What you want now is to be comfortable pushing paper around your desk because you don't have to worry about rejection. No one's going to reject you when you're pushing paper around your desk. What you want now is just to be in reactionary mode, coddling those 2 deals you have in the pipeline because that's comfortable, right? But what you want most is to build a dream team of top producing realtors who send you all their business all the time so you can move from survive mode to thrive mode. And so you do your hour of power every day with proactive prospecting with your 10-3-1, 10 outbounds, 3 live connections, 1 appointment, because you're disciplined, and discipline is doing what you want most over what you want now. Are you with me on that, Penny?
Oh, I am.
Right? So it's the tug of war in our own soul between what we want most versus what we want now. And training is doing our best today so we can do even better tomorrow. Saying, hey, I'm just going to do my best, trust God with the rest. And the best I can do is my daily discipline, my hour of power, my morning exercise, whatever that looks like to you. Okay. So that is the 3rd step. Let's move on to the 4th step. Any questions on that 3rd step, Penny, before I move on?
No, this is some powerful stuff. So let's keep going.
All right, let's keep rocking it. So the 4th step to thrive in 2025 is make your bad habits hard and difficult, and your good habits easy and fun. I'm going to say that again. Make your bad habits hard and difficult, and your good habits easy and fun. So what do I mean by that? Well, my old habits, I still have bad habits, but some of my old habits that I was able to conquer over the last year were scrolling on social media like a crack addicted rat on Instagram and Facebook, just scrolling, whether it was when I was not in the room with my family and I'd be on the way up to visit my family, I'd be scrolling on the way to see them. Going to the washroom, scrolling on the way to the washroom, scrolling while I'm in the washroom. How redunculous is that, right? I know you guys never do that, but you can imagine how silly that is to be scrolling while you're on the pod, right? Like, who does that kind of silly stuff? I'm kidding, because probably most people do that nowadays. But this was a bad habit because I was noticing that I was looking at things that were wasting my time, and it was like death by a million razor cuts, and it was corrupting my character. I was looking at hot chicks because they're all through this news feed because Facebook finds out that I'm a dude and that's what they put on my feed. I was like, seriously, I'm married. What am I doing? Looking at hot chicks instead of focusing on the hottest chick of all, my wife, and cherishing her and making her my focus. And so I just realized, you know what? That's not serving me. Same thing with drinking. I'd have date night with the wife, be sipping this beautiful sipping tequila, feeling great in the moment. That's what I wanted now, but it didn't align with what I wanted most, which is to feel great on Saturday. And so then I'm feeling the headache and I'm feeling the sorrow of feeling like I shouldn't have drank so much. And so then I just decided, you know what? I'm going to put some controls around this stuff. I mean, my wife and I were like, we're not going to drink anymore. We're not drinkers anymore. I'm just not a drinker anymore. Notice the shift in identity. It's not that I choose not to drink. It's that I don't drink anymore. And instead, we buy full beer, we drink full beer, and that's what we do. We drink full beer. I never would have thought that that's like even a thing, but it's a thing. And there's some great IPA full beers we've discovered. So I'm enjoying the taste of beer. I wish I could have full tequila. There's no such thing, unfortunately. That's the next best thing is full beer. So that's what I'm doing. And I have an accountability partner. So what happens now is I've made it hard and difficult to do the habit because I have my accountability partner. I don't want to lead her astray. I don't want to tempt her to corrupt her own body with something she told me she does not want to do. So I'm doing it for her. I'm also doing it for me. Similar thing with the social media. I found out there's some great parental control apps that shut that stuff down because I don't have the willpower. And you might be thinking, well, Doran, aren't you kind of weak-willed if you don't have the willpower to stop that? Yeah, exactly. I'm weak-willed. And that's where power lies, is realizing and admitting your weakness. So I put parental control app on my phone, governed by my wife's phone, so that I don't have the proclivity anymore to scroll because I can't scroll because I literally shut it down. So you make the bad habit difficult and hard, and you make the good habit easy and fun. So the good habit, easy and fun is now we have full beer. It tastes good. It's available. It's easily accessible. And of course, now instead of scrolling on social media, I'm scrolling on the news feed. So now I have a new bad habit I need to let go of. But at least it's harder to do that. And it's easier to do something that's perhaps a little bit better. I'll give you another example. Let's say the good habits that I have of exercise, right? So how do I do exercise 5 days a week? Well, it's a habit now. At the beginning, it was a discipline. How do I make it easy and fun as opposed to hard and difficult? I've just decided I'm never going to press the button from hell called the snooze button because that's starting your day with the habit of procrastinating. That's like the absolute worst thing you could do to start your day, starting with procrastination. Are you kidding me? That thing is like literally the devil button. Don't press the snooze button. When that thing goes off, it's 10, 5, it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off. And you just get out of bed. I give myself 2 minutes to ruminate on how blessed I am. And then I get myself out of bed. But if you can't do that because you're going to go back to sleep, just get out of bed. Scrape yourself out of bed with a spatula, whatever you need to do. So avoid the snooze button. And then another thing I do is I get ready the night before. So instead of rummaging around, making a racket at 5:30 in the morning, waking everybody up, opening up drawers, looking for my gear, I get all my gear ready. And then I can be like a ninja with velvet slippers at night, and I can have it all ready. So when I slip out of my bedroom, everything's stacked up in the bathroom, ready to go. Okay. Make it easy and fun. And the fun part for me is I love to learn. So how do I make exercising, clanging and banging something fun? Well, I do two things. I do yoga and I do clanging and banging with some weights just at home. So it's just home workout. And yoga for me is like mastery. It's kind of like a martial art. I love getting just a little bit more mastery level ability where I just can do stuff I wasn't able to do before. I love that feeling of feeling like I'm building momentum into mastery. And then the other thing I love to do is I love to learn. So while I'm burning with exercise, I'm learning with inspiration, motivation, education with some podcasts or some audiobooks. So, and I listen to them at double speed so I can listen to, I can get 2 times the content, 2 times the wisdom in the same amount of time. So all that to be said, there's 2 ways to accelerate your success, friends. You can either press more on the gas, which is adding more good habits, or you can let off the brakes, which is letting go of bad habits. I recommend as you launch your year 2025, make a list of the top 3 habits you need to let off the gas with that aren't serving you, that aren't aligned with your champion level identity and the champion level life you want to create. And then what are the top 3 habits that would be throttling up on you cultivating mastery muscle in the areas that matter most to you, that are strategic habits that allow you to train versus just try? That is the first 4 habits, but we still got 1 more. What do you think, Penny? Do you think they're ready for 1 more, or should we call it quits?
I think we should go for 1 more because you know what? 5 is a lovely round number. So let's go for point number 5 to thrive.
Let's do it. We've come all this way. We come all this way. We can't quit now, right?
You got it.
Because quitters never win and winners never quit. So let's go. The last and certainly not least habit of the 5 steps to thrive in 2025. Step number 5 is book one realtor appointment per day until you have 10 solid partners sending you a deal a month. Okay. So one appointment per day until you have 10 solid partners sending you a deal a month. And this is the one strategic habit that I'm recommending you do. I've already seeded a few other strategies and habits, like starting your day right, winning your morning, win your day, your magic morning routine, your hour of power, your 10-3-1, 10 outbounds, 3 live connections, 1 appointment, your learn and burn, with your exercise and your learning at the same time. I've already alluded to a lot of these little strategic habits, but if there was one habit that pushes the needle on profit and performance in your business at the highest level, if I had to recommend just one, it would be cultivating and building mastery level skill through training, not trying, when it comes to attracting realtor partners and booking appointments with top producing realtors. There is no higher yielding, higher profit habit than that as a mortgage professional. Because while you can go after other means of doing business, and you can go after consumer direct and have a system and a funnel for getting a bunch of leads and converting a small percentage of those leads into closings, you can do that. But if you just have 10 partners sending you 1 deal a month and you're making $3K a pop, you're making surgeon money. You're making $30K plus per month. And it's month after month, all by referral, the easiest deals to close, the highest average commissions per deal, the most fun because they come pre-cooked, pre-tenderized, offer what you got and pre-sold on you before they even talk to you. And it's a by referral only business with very low expenses. So it's very high profit margin. You're making surgeon money from just booking 1 appointment a day. Have you ever considered that? Like, stick that in your pipe and smoke it. Marinate your mind on that in a moment and think about how simple and powerful and potent that one habit is. Now, of course, it's easier said than done. If you've ever tried it, it's easy to get your ass handed to you and have them not give you the time of day and waste your time with fruitless toil, which is, again, a big reason why people hire us at mortgagemarketingcoach.com, because we have a proprietary realtor attraction system that allows you to get these top producing realtors, offer what you got and pre-sold on you before they even talk to you. And a system to make you irreplaceable and indispensable, not showing up as a lone leech and a mortgage parasite, but flipping the script such that you become so valuable to them. You provide so much unique value. They stick to you like super glue and send you all their business all the time. We flip the script so they need you more than you need them. How cool would that be, right? Can you imagine that? Imagine having an identity of being that potent and powerful of a value creator that you can attract eagles on your team because you're owning your eagle identity. And now you're soaring free, making freedom money because you have a dream team of eagles all working together in tandem. And they're sending business to you and you're sending business to them. And you might be thinking, Dora, that sounds amazing, but I have no idea how to do this. I hate cold calling. I don't want to cold call these people. I don't know what to send these people by text or email. How do I bring value to these people? Like, there's a lot of questions, right? Well, if that's you and you're wanting to learn more about how to do this the smart way versus the hard way, I encourage you to go to our school account, our school classroom. Go to school. You can download the app. It's SKOOL. Download the app. Look up mortgagemarketingcoach.com and look for our 3 days to thrive training inside the classroom. And it's all 100% free. And I will walk you through step by step how to set the system up and how it works. And I'll lift up the hood and give you the inner workings of what it looks like to be able to have a eagle attraction system that helps you become the eagle you're called to be and attracts eagles that you know you're deserving of when you're being the eagle that you're called to be. Of course, water seeks its own level. When you're an eagle, it only makes sense to attract eagles, not chickens or turkeys. So stop chasing, start attracting, and turn your income goals into what it takes to get to that income goal, which is all based on a very simple equation. How many partners do you need? You want to make 30 grand a month and you're making 3K a deal. That means you need to do just simply 10 transactions a month, right? And if you're starting at 0.0, that means you need 10 solid partners sending you a deal a month or 5 solid partners sending you 2 deals a month. So when you think in those terms and it's like, okay, I just need 5 to 10 partners. You know what that is? That's like maybe 15 to 20, maybe maximum 25 well-executed meetings the way we teach here on Planet Prosper. We're not talking backflips, all right? It's just a matter of how many appointments that you're willing to book and how much mastery muscle you're willing to develop by putting in the reps. But the road to public success is paved with private discipline. And that private discipline, when paired with effective strategy using the fire hose versus the squirt gun, will give you massive results. Woo-wee, Penny, that was a mouthful. I hope you caught a little bit of that.
I did. And wow, what a powerful, powerful episode today was. I hope that everyone's getting as much out of it as I did today, because boy, that was pretty awesome.
I just want to get out there and start booking some appointments. I'm getting myself amped up here. So if you're listening to this and you're like, Doran, I'm picking up what you're putting down. Penny, I need me some of what Doran's got there. I know he's got some proprietary realtor attraction campaign thingy-majiggy, but I don't know if I'm ready for that yet. I'm broke as a joke, or I'm running on fumes financially, or I'm on the struggle bus. I need to maybe close a few more deals first, and then maybe I'll reach out to you guys. What would you say to someone like that, Penny, who's kind of like on the fence and they're like, yeah, you guys keep bringing the heat, you keep bringing the value. I know you guys are the real deal, but I just, I don't feel like I'm ready for coaching yet. I know I need coaching, but I don't feel like I'm ready for it yet. What would you say to someone like that?
Well, you know what? I would probably do what I did, Doran, and that would be I would book a call anyways, because that's what I did way back in the day when I was a student of Doran's Planet Prosper. Back when I was a student, I was the same way. I couldn't afford it at the time either, and I found a way to make it happen. So I would say, you know what? You should definitely give Doran a call, Doran and his team. And yeah, how do they reach out to you, Doran? How can people explore how to make them thrive in 2025? How can people reach you?
Well, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked. And it's for those who are committed versus just interested. You were committed to creating a breakthrough, creating unprecedented results. You were in stagnation. You were growing, but not growing at the level you wanted it to.
Right.
You were capable of so much more. You knew you were an eagle who was meant to soar, and you weren't feeling the eagle results. You weren't getting the eagle results you wanted.
Tired of living like a turkey, as we
right, guys. You're committed.
Being an eagle, and that's what happened. You should.
Yeah, and there was a certain amount of like, hey, I'm sick and tired of settling for turkey results when I know I'm made to be an eagle and soar like an eagle. And that's why you're committed versus just interested. And that's why you said, screw it, let's do it. And look at the transformation and the avalanche of awesome that happened on the other side of that. That would not happen. Easy for me to say. That would not have happened. Apparently, I've been talking too much because I'm starting to trip on my lips. That would not have happened had you not at least said, you know what? I need to do something. This is not going to fix itself. And you booked that call. Is that true?
You got it.
Yeah.
You got it.
And it's like,
and the rest
that's the little, that's just the little spark that catches the fire, the forest fire ablaze, is just that little beginning of deciding, you know what do I have to lose? So if that's you, you're on 100% commission, you make 70 basis points or higher, and you want to add at least an extra $100,000 to your income, and you're sick and tired of whatever it is that you're at right now. It might be good. You might be better than most, but you're sick and tired of living in good prison. You're ready to step into great. Or maybe you're tired of living in I can't afford a prison, or the struggle bus, or the sleepless nights, or the fear, or the anxiety, or the worry, or worrying where that next deal is going to come from. And you're at the place where I'm just done living like this. I'm done living on chicken feed. I'm ready to soar like the eagle that I know I'm called to be. Go ahead and book a call. It's 100% free. It's a clarity call. You'll get on the phone or on Zoom with myself or one of my consultants. We're just going to lift up the hood and look at where you're at now. Where do you want to go? And if we are certain that we can help you bridge that gap, we'll show you what that looks like inside of our proven system. If not, frankly, we will be the very first to advise you to pause, maybe recommend something else or someone else. But either way, you will leave that call with more value, more clarity than chances are you've ever had on a 60-minute Zoom call in your entire life, bar none. I kid you not. And it's because we've been doing this for 2 decades. And we know how to shine the light of truth, and we know how to ask really quality questions, and we know how to bring the power of clarity into the mix to serve you to determine whether or not this system and what we do can help you. So if that sounds meaningful and worthwhile to you, book a call at mortgagemarketingcoach.com/chat. Again, that's mortgagemarketingcoach.com/chat. If you got value from today, subscribe, to our podcast on iTunes or whatever system or platform you listen to it so you don't miss future episodes. Also, thank you in advance for sharing this episode with colleagues, friends, anybody that you think might benefit from it. If you feel like we are deserving of a 5-star review, please do, because it helps us reach other awesome mortgage pros just like you. Okay, so thanks in advance for that. And I just want to thank you, Penny, for rolling with me. You have been such a value creator, such an instigator of awesome. There's so much that we do on Planet Prosper that has been expansive and impactful to our community, including the improvement and just the magnification of awesome in this podcast, but also things like the 3 days to thrive on school. That was your idea. And now people are being blessed every day because you just have that way of bringing value and light and love and leadership to everything you do. So I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for you being you, because we couldn't do what we do without the awesome that is you.
Well, I want to thank you for being you, because I feel blessed to be in your presence every day as well. So there it is.
We just got this love fest, man. We just don't want to stop. The love fest is just magnifying and amplifying, but we do need to stop because we are up on time. But just know this, the more we grow, the more our income grows. So don't just go to the next level. Let's grow to the next level, because whether you like it or not, whether you know it or not, your business is a personal development course with a compensation plan attached. So don't just go to that next level. Let's grow to that next level. And let's apply these 5 steps that we downloaded today to have you thrive in 2025. Thanks for hanging with us. Be blessed. We'll see you on the next episode. Peace, y'all. Thanks for being with us.